Okay, welcome everyone. Today's debate will focus on the opportunities and challenges GenAI possess on employers, teachers, students, and professors. So let's seek a consensus on how to address these issues. Each stakeholder will answer questions and then we will discuss solutions. So first, my role is an employer, and I will be discussing on how I am against GenAI since it presents some concerns to me. Next.
Okay, in my case, I'm a professor at university, and I think it is very useful for everyone in this case. And I think it can benefit students and teachers equally.
In my case, I'm a student. I consider generative AI can be very supportive when combining to learning for students and also aiding in this process of acquiring a new language.
Hello everyone, I'm Naomi, and I think that GenAI can be a good tool when it is correctly teach the usage of it. However, during the last years, it has been misused by teacher and students.
Okay, and as an employer, I have some concerns about the accuracy and reliability in the outputs of GenAI. For example, if one of my employees is using it, misinformation in reports or documents are going to be present when they use GenAI. Also, when there's this constant risk of replacing jobs, my employees won't feel safe here because they are gonna think that at some point GenAI is gonna take over their jobs, or at least is gonna take away some of it. And the other challenge I'm concerned is about the ethical dilemmas here, because when you don't use GenAI ethically, you can well, this can lead to plagiarism. So that's a big problem here.
I think you have very good points, but in my case, I have seen that teachers use this GenAI to create examples for specific topics. For example, when I am teaching about a paragraph, the structure of a paragraph, I think I can use a specific example that has the vocabulary that I will use with my students, and that is very helpful because if I take the time to write a whole paragraph with that vocabulary, I think it's going to be really stressful because I could use that time with other things like teaching with like planning, like other things. So I think it can be beneficial if we use it as a tool, not if we use it as a replacing of the teacher, but as a tool that can help us to manage our time in a better way. Okay, I think that's my opinion in that case, but I don't know. Maybe someone else can talk about that.
Okay, Belen, I think you present a very good point, but I would like to ask you a question. So how can professors adapt their teaching and research methodologies to include gender?
Okay, I think in this case, we can adapt ourselves. We can see that GenAI is a tool, as I said, to help us. And I can say that in this case, we can research using GenAI, and then we can read all the research that we did. We can adapt some things because GenAI is not perfect, so it can have some problems, some misunderstandings. So we can use it, but we have to revise it. It's very important that we have to revise it to make it clear for our students, clear for us even. So I think it is a solution for that. It would be revising the content that we are gaining from the GenAI. I think that would be.
All right, very good. So next point then. Next point, Fernando?
Okay.
Or no?
As far as we know, we as a teacher are in chair of create this bond between teacher and student in a classroom, while this tool has make this more efficiently, since the students just use Gemini to create their homeworks, to create their essays, and teacher just limit to just check what they have read instead of going deeper, asking the students how was the work, creating these interpersonal skills between teacher students and also between student students, so between their classmates. It has also been reducing what is emotional intelligence. So we just limit to create and to understand what artificial intelligence has created for us.
Okay, I really like your point. As a student, I would have to say that that's not the case because we definitely do not replace uh, what Gen AI is telling us with what we actually feel. But what do you think about that? Do you consider that all the students are willing to put uh, uh, blank papers without emotions into their works instead of you creatively working on their own?
Yeah, in fact, we as teachers, well, in my case as a teacher, I can, well, when I see a homework, when I see work, it's automatically that I identify that it wasn't created by the student. It was created by something else, in this case, with technology. I think that it goes beyond, it's understandable for them, because if they will know a little bit more of how to use this correctly, it can be okay, but they are misusing it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your point. I would like to say the opposite. I would consider that students do not really try to avoid doing classworks and doing homework to replace the learning, but actually we are using these generative artificial intelligence to support our learning. We don't really want to just copy the things that
Okay.
this IA is going to give us, but we actually use it to specific purposes, especially when we have certain knowledge gaps in our learning. So in this case, generative artificial intelligence can be very good for personalized learning because it can provide feedback whenever we are doing a writing, or it can provide with specific examples on certain topics that we are using or we are learning for specific purposes. This is very good because we don't really have the chance to have a teacher at us all the time to correct or to provide specific examples. In this case, generative artificial intelligence is a very good tool that helps us in the better learning that we want to achieve when acquire this language.
Okay, I agree with you, but uh, artificial intelligence sometimes can provide inaccurate information or overly simplified information that could misguide students. So from that point, how can you be sure that the information that you are getting is trustworthy?
That's an excellent question. I would have to say that that concern is not only from you, but actually from all the students that are using generative artificial intelligence. And I would have to say that as an answer, maybe we cannot have the aid of a teacher whenever we're using these tools, but we can have a check or a positive validation by our teacher. Maybe you can show them what we have been doing using these tools, or what we have been learning with these tools, and they can verify if the information is correct or not. I think that we use this one to avoid problems with times within teachers and students, but they are still there for us. So I think that they can help us with guidance in terms of using artificial intelligence, but we cannot replace them with artificial intelligence.
Okay, I think that answers it. So next, it's my point of view, and I would like to say that as an employer, my main concern is ensuring that my employees feel safe and valued despite the growing use of Gen AI. So AI might take over repetitive tasks. It opens doors to more creative and strategic roles for our team, but it it presents the insecurity for them to maybe they are going to lose their jobs at some point when this becomes more, I don't know, more used in the future. So The first challenge I have to present is the concerns about accuracy and reliability in the outputs of their work. So, for example, if they are doing some reports or something, they could be missing informations because these documents are generated by GenAI. So, GenAI can't have all the knowledge that my employees have. The next challenge is the risk of replacing jobs. As I said, this is leading to workforce insecurity within my employees. And the third challenge are the ethical dilemmas that you guys have also talked about, because this could lead to the misuse of GenAI, and and my employees could use it unethically, so they can plagiarize something within their company, and that will be problematic. So yeah, that's my point of view.
Okay, I think I disagree with you because it will depend. I think most people don't know how to use this generative AI. So if we could have meetings, if we could have something that teaches us how to use this correctly, it will be better. It would be very good for professors, for students, even for employers, because you can have that certainty that we are not going to plagiarize. We are not going to misuse this type of generative AI. So I think if we use it correctly, it's going to be great. It's going to benefit everyone. But in this case, I think it depends of how well are we trained. We're trained to use this correctly. We're trained to use this to benefit everyone, or we're just using it because it's new, because it has something that maybe can help us. So I think it depends on that. So I think that you as an employer can help us with that. So I will ask you as a professor, how can you help us to use this generative AI better? How can you give us something that makes us want to use this and want to learn how to use this?
Okay, so answering to your questions, I think the best way would be to train my employees better. Maybe send them to some training programs that shows them how to use AI, but in the good way, for the creative way, and instead of the unethical, so that they can use this opportunity to maybe extract some creativity from it instead of just letting it do all the work by itself. So I think that will be all the best I can do as an employer. Just introduce this culture within my employees so they can use it better.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a great way to find a solution to this. And I think that we can find that in this case, we are talking about generative AI and how we can use it. And sometimes employers, sometimes teachers are really against this, and they prohibit it in all classes. But in this case, this is going to cause a resistance from students because they are going to say, this is new, I want to use this. And if they use it without training, without something like that, they are going to misuse it. They are going to just put their homework to that, and that's not the point. That's not the come out that we want from this. So I think that in this case, we can say that if we find something like training camps for teachers and for students, we're going to get better. We're going to use this generative AI in a better way. And we can find the consensus that generative AI is something good, but we have to know how to use it. Everyone has to know how to use it. Employers, professors, and students and teachers. I think that is my point, that we have to accept it. We don't have to resist to this change. We have to accept that this is happening and that we have to be prepared for this. So I don't know. I think I would like to hear the opinion of a student in this case, because as I said, as a professor, I think it's great, but I don't know if a student wants to be trained in this aspect.
Yeah, of course. I would have to say that training for the use of these artificial intelligence is ideal, not only because we can avoid the problems that Naomi was mentioned, that our professor was mentioned before, regarding how to use these ones correctly or how we are going to manage the information that we are receiving from it, but actually it can help us to be very specific regarding certain topics, or it can help us um, to advance more than the planned activities or the planned curriculum that we have from the campus or from any institution that is providing English to students. But we can actually use it to our own learning and to provide ourselves with more information, again, that will be classified with these courses, to guide ourselves to improve better and to continue learning by ourselves. Yes, I think that the training is important in this case, and not only for that, but actually to see the ethical and unethical things that we have to do.
I completely agree with you both. I think that the goal isn't to reject Gen AI. Instead of that, we must create a balance between the technological part with the emotional part. So in this case, as you already mentioned, we should know how to teach our students how to use it. We should teach our educators how to use it with our students. So it must be 50-50%, emphasizing critical thinking, ethics, human-centered learning, and also integrating all these technological ideas that can be beneficial for us.
Okay, yeah, guys, I completely support all your points of view. However, I still think that the ethical misuse is a problem because over reliance are common concerns within students. For example, there's always going to be someone who is maybe lazy and is just going to let ChatGPT do everything for them. So I think we should start to apply clear guidelines and policies for these type of things, right? So yeah, and for the good parts you guys said, I think that me as an employer can use GenAI to boost my productivity. Also, you guys, educators and professors, can leverage it for enhancing the student research, right? And your own teaching, so you can enhance it very easily with this. And the student, you can learn to collaborate with GenAI for innovation, but while always maintaining integrity, because that is the most important part, right? Use it with responsibility.
Exactly. Yes, I think that as a students, is the purpose is not replacing the learning with what ChatGPT or whatever artificial intelligence is telling us, but actually to improve our learning of English. And I think not only that, but actually, as you mentioned, teachers are also willing to help us with this, not giving us the specific things for us, or specific guidelines, sorry, for us to cheat with ChatGPT, but actually establishing guidelines that we can use and we can accept, that is going to help us in our learning.
Exactly.
Yeah, I also think that guidelines are really important because we have to we have to have clear rules in this case. So in this case, we can say that employers have certain guidelines, professors have certain guidelines, teachers have certain guidelines, and students too. And everyone has to be limited in this case to use Gen AI for something in the class. We can say, for example, that a teacher can use Gen AI only 2 times in a lesson plan. That can be a guideline that we have to use, and it has to be for examples. It doesn't have to be like, ChatGPT, please give me a lesson plan. That is not the point that we are going for. In this case, we are going for something better. We're going to talk about this, and yes, I think that is really important in this case. That everyone has guidelines, as you said, employers, teachers, professors, and students.
Yeah, I think that Gen AI present both opportunities and challenges. It depends on us as a personal individual to know how to use it correctly in an ethical form, in a way that it can also help us to improve our knowledge, to improve our work, to improve our development in the area that we are working on.